Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I was a proud co-author of SB 277, being a pharmacist for almost 38 years has given me the knowledge to understand that immunizations have saved millions of lives, not only in the United States, but throughout the world. But when we passed SB 277, we made some promises. And those promises were that if you had a child that had an adverse reaction to a vaccination or could have a potential adverse effect from a vaccination, that you could have an appointment with your medical professional, your doctor. And if your doctor saw it appropriate that you should have an exemption, that he would grant you that exemption, and you could still enroll your child in public schools. Now, I'll be honest with you, the side effects to immunizations are rare when you consider the number of immunizations that are given throughout the United States and given throughout the world. But I'll tell you, when I chaired the Health Committee meeting, when you see the morbidity and mortality associated with those that do have incidents, they're not minor. They're major. You can't have a one-size-fits-all for exemptions. The CDC has guidelines, but we still need to allow physicians to practice. We need to have physicians have a patient-physician relationship. Now, as you all know, I'm not only a pharmacist, but I'm a practicing pharmacist, and I have to adhere to the laws of the state of California as they are imposed and as they are enforced by the State Board of Pharmacy. The State Board of Pharmacy doesn't delegate any of their enforcement activity to anyone else other than the Attorney General if you're filing criminal charges against a pharmacist, for example, selling morphine or Vicodin or OxyContin out the back door. A very simple solution to the issue of some unscrupulous physicians that will write an exemption for a fee is to lean on the medical board. That's what the medical board is there for, to police, if you will, the physicians that are licensed in the state of California to ensure that they're giving quality medical care. Let me tell you, just because I get a prescription for OxyContin does not mean I have a mandate under law to dispense that prescription for OxyContin. I have to look at a number of factors when a patient comes in. If I notice that they just got the prescription for OxyContin 3 days ago and it's supposed to last 12 days, I can politely give the prescription back and say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to fill that prescription by law. Yet if I fill that prescription, I could have a State Board of Pharmacy inspector in my pharmacy writing me a violation, having an accusation levied against me in my pharmacy, and the power of the State Board of Pharmacy is if you don't follow the rules, they can either suspend your license or in a worst case situation, they can revoke your license. So a question that all of us have is why aren't we empowering the medical board to police their own? To me, this is an admission that the medical board doesn't either want to enforce these provisions or they are incapable of enforcing these provisions. By now giving the Department of Health the responsibility of reviewing what the medical board could be reviewing is basically telling those that are strongly concerned about their patients, their children's welfare, if they have 2 children that have had adverse reactions to immunizations, and I'm not talking about a rash, I'm talking about anaphylactic shock, if I were a parent, I would seek an exemption. So what are the parents going to do now when the answer is no? They are going to have to appeal to a large bureaucracy and have to deal with a California Department of Vehicles procedure to safeguard their child if they're going to put their kids in a public school. Again, folks, I believe in immunizations. I believe they save lives. But there are rare instances where an exclusion is mandated, necessary. And if we have physicians that are abusing their authority in writing these exemptions, not in accordance with good medical practice, then the medical board should step in. They should suspend or revoke their licenses. And I believe that that will cure the problem, if you will, of inappropriate exemptions being given. But every patient that goes to a doctor is unique. That presents with very unique circumstances. We can't document every single side effect that happens with every drug. But we have an insert. If you read the insert on aspirin, it'll scare you. If you read the insert on Tylenol, it'll scare you, as it claims over 50,000 people's lives in the United States every single year. But if you take the number of exemptions that are given in the state of California, and you amortize that to see what the overall herd immunity would be as a result, you still would have effective immunity protecting our children in the state of California. So while I support that we give immunizations to people that can safely receive them, maybe scattering the schedule, because I personally believe that giving too many immunizations at one time can overwhelm the immune system that may be the cause of some of these adverse reactions. But my friends, we should let the medical board do what they were appointed to do, and that is to oversee the practice of medicine to ensure that quality health care is being delivered to each and every patient, whether it's a child or an adult in the state of California. And those physicians that abrogate those responsibilities and charge a fee to write an exemption because they just want the money instead of looking out for the best interest of that child, then they should be disciplined by the medical board. We shouldn't be handing that responsibility off to a third party in the state of California, namely the Department of Health. That's an abdication of responsibility by the medical board, and for those reasons, I think we should vote down SB 276.